Today I'm here to address the chocolate fraternity and the nation.
Lobelanga siplio lingakanga pasia bolingo balimbisa karamaloba kasina motema eti kalaka elembo.
This upcoming bongo star from Kenya, okay? He sent me his song and he asked me, please, Terry, please. I know that some people are not appreciating you. But for me, I really feel like you're the one who is going to give me the clicks and give me the market. And it's you who is going to make me get gigs and be booked in clubs like you've done to many others who don't appreciate. Please do play my song. Why not help? That's called a buju buju. This is my way of doing charity, okay? I don't have extra cash to give, but I have my platform, my talent, and my passion for music to help with, to do charity to our young, talented people, okay? The sun is shining here today like I ordered for it. Wow! So I'm trying to get the right position for my camera because the sun is naturally shining, yet I always have my light here that I actually love. But the sun. If you've not subscribed to Proud Chocolate, please do. It is Proud Terry Chocolate. Subscribe so we move fast forward to where we were. Today I want to address the nation. I want to address the nation once and for all because we are moving on. My inside is starting to come out well, most. So just take me slow. Mwesikia hiyo, unatesa wanateta. Pull your chair, girl, and address the nation.
Number 1 Kenya mzima, East Africa, mambo ni hapa, kila kitu ni tamu zaidi.
Welcome to Proud Terry Chocolate's page. Thank you for your subscription on my channel. I know there are a lot of you who are following me and you don't know me. A lot of you maybe have come through clicking my name in blogs and in, people's talks, and that's how you've landed here. Before all those people who go live for you went live, whether with TV or with a big company or wherever, for Kenyans, I was one of the very first to go live on Facebook. And that was in the year 2016, I guess. It was 16. My way of giving back to my community is by using what makes me happy to give back. I am not rich. I am not poor. I only work and have just enough to take care of myself and my mother and those really who are close to me. I give those who give, those who think I don't give. I try my best. This is my story. I, Terry, have struggled in my life But I really embrace my struggles and I love it, and I know God made it that way for me to get to where I am. Fast forward. I was a radio presenter at Ramogi FM. Ramogi FM belongs to Royal Media Group, Citizen, and it is a vernacular station for Luos. I am the one who took over after Sela Aimba. Sela Aimba was the very first breakfast show presenter at Ramogi FM, followed by myself and Marco Kundi. Marco Kundi, you know him. He is the son of the late Ben Oluchokelo, who was the senator of Vigori, who died of cancer. And so I know you saw Marco Kundi on TV those days. Now he's very far through that. So, Sela Aimba, my sister, who is still in radio, in Dolu Radio, is the one who taught me how to work on radio. And I appreciate that to date. It was in the year 2005. Some of you will be saying, oh, she's rude. No. I'm sorry, I always plan to speak slowly and step by step and not be loud. But unfortunately, when the Holy Spirit touches on me and what I want to say is in my heart and is burning, then I normally come out as if I'm cruel or something. So forgive me for that. Those who don't know me. Those who know me, I know you understand. It is just me, and this is the way I talk. I also talk very, very fast, especially when I'm speaking my mother tongue Luo. I speak like a machine. And that is why I do what I do, because if you give birth to a child that talks like me, you definitely know this one is going to do mass communication. It is just a talent that is born in me. Just to tell you my background a bit, I studied media, okay? And I worked or attached at Kenya Broadcasting Corporation for almost a year and a half within my studying. Those days are not like these days, yeah? Those days, you know people. And after that, I even attached at KTN, and my best friend at KTN was Brenda Mulinya, who is now one of the top presenters at the nation. I was with Munira Muhammad, Julie Kishuru, Tony Gashukia, Joshua Kemboi, Swali Mudoe. We were in the same office. I was an attaché, but these are people who know me. Before that, my best friends at KBC while I was interning, let me mention them to you so you know who you are associating with here. Terry Ann Chebet, Kanze Dena, Franklin Wambugu, and Mohammed Ali, who is now an MP in the Kenyan Parliament. Those were my best friends. Ask them, they will tell you. I want you guys to know and then decide whether you want to go with me in this journey or not. When Sela Aimba left Ramogi FM and moved to Lake Victoria, Kisumu, I, Terry, was given that docket of her shows and other shows of some ladies who had gone off because of maternity. I was doing Wangonyango, which I even created a program in called Pinyo Masani that still runs to date at Ramogi FM. I was doing Wangonyango, I was doing Chiela, I was doing Kwayomari, I was doing Inkanye, I was doing Tutinda for kids on Saturday. I was doing a lot of programs at Ramogi FM. So that is where I got used to speaking Doluo. So those days when I was working there, you people, I always wanted to change radio to TV. That was me. I really wished I had a camera to just put in my studio so that my people can see how I was dancing. So now you know why I love Luo music. Coming to Germany was not willingly. Before I got my job at Ramogi FM, I had applied for that job a year before Ramogi started. Thank God to a Siemens phone that a Kisi guy who was those days wanted to have me as a future wife had bought me. I still had the same number a year later. Between that time I applied and this 1 year later, I had been really struggling because I had deleted by mistake a video, a tape at KTN after I'd come from the field. I wanted to download my work into a tape because we used to do manual editing those days. And then I took a tape that had important things in it. And so I deleted the tape by mistake. And that is how I lost my contract at KTN. So I had this time, I was doing nothing, I was suffering. I was living with my relatives, but they needed me not to depend on them. So I had to work at their restaurant, but also find a way of buying things that ladies need and some clothes and stuff. So I was actually hustling here and right. That is when internet was starting to come in. I worked for some company that was selling modem and I don't know what, and they didn't even pay me. I was working in offices asking people to connect with them with modems, and they did. So I was struggling a lot. So sending this application, I did not get what? I did not get a reply very fast. So I thought, what do I do? Then there was a lady called Lulu. I appreciate her. Lulu had started an agency for au pairs. I didn't know what au pair was. But then my cousin Sophie came home one evening and told me, Tim, I've gotten a way of us leaving this country and going abroad. Lulu is taking people abroad. What? Really? She told me to ask my mom. My mother agreed. Mom had already heard about those people, those Costarians, girls who are going to Saudi Arabia and suffering there. So my mother just told me point blank, you're never leaving this country. So just continue to struggle where you're struggling, but the story of leaving the country, no. So I left that issue like that. But Sophie followed. Sophie followed her dream. Sophie was a very bright girl. She is a very bright girl. She was good in French. She only wanted to go to France, I mean. So I said, let me see if Sophie manages. Then maybe Mama will change her mind. Sophie pushed. She had been invited to universities in America. But she said, no, Terry, I don't want to go to university anywhere abroad. I want to go to France. And I will get there. If I have to go there through this thing that Lulu is doing, I will go there. And things worked out and Sophie finally left for France. Our neighbor's daughter was Sophie's friend, best friend. And so our neighbor's daughter had sickle cell. Rest in peace, Akinyi. She was called Akinyi. We were sharing one wall at my auntie's place. So their family maid came to our fence and was like, Terry, Akikuja. Akinyi is following me everywhere. I think she's sick, but she's just following me everywhere in the house. She's getting mad. And I was like, so I saw Akinyi yesterday. She had come from the salon and she had made some nice small braids. When did she get sick? So I rushed to that house and I found Akinyi lying on the sofa. It was in the evening, lying on the sofa on their veranda. It was something funny. Her mother had gone to the airport to pick up a friend who was coming from Mombasa. And Akinyi was in a house and their house had no lights. Yet the whole of South Sea actually had light. I don't know why they didn't have light that day. So I touched Akinyi. She was actually very warm and she was lying there. I started talking to her. Then I called another friend of theirs called Shiro. And when Shiro came, Shiro noticed that Akinyi had peed on the sofa. A big girl of my age, those days, had peed on the sofa. And then that is when we noticed that she's dying. She is dead, actually. So we rushed out, and as I was rushing out to tell the neighbors that to help us, we take her to Mata, because we were close to Mata. We met her mother, and that story forward. So when we informed Sophie, my cousin, that your best friend has died, Sophie sent money to support that family during the funeral, because that was her best friend. And that is when my family realized, if that means Sophie's safe. That means she's safe. And so my mother started thinking again and saying, if Sophie can support a friend like that, and you also really want to go where you want to go, then I'm thinking twice. Maybe France is different from those other countries I hear about. So that is how my mother allowed me to start learning German. At least Sophie had changed the mindset of our people. So now, Lulu found a language school for me, but I had to pay for it. And my mother had no money. My mother had no money, I had no money. And my people who were accommodating me, they could only give me accommodation and food. Nothing much. So I had to hustle. And these language schools, you have to pay for them. So I was just praying and doing what I can do. I was working in the restaurant and doing what I can do and making contacts. That is what helped me. So I gave in to this au pair thing, and Lulu took me to a friend of hers who had come from Germany, had opened a school in town in Nairobi, and the friend had allowed us to pay slowly. So Lulu talked to my relatives because she was also part of the family, and they agreed that I go to school and they'll chip in the way they can. That is how I started learning German. Fast forward again, as I was just deep into this thing, into learning German, and I was set that now I just want to work in my auntie's restaurant and go to this school until it works out, I got a call. My phone just rang and I didn't know who it was, because those days it was rare for somebody to call you. Why? Because people didn't have mobile phones. My name is Ben Olwochokelo, and you applied for a job at Ramogi FM. Are you still interested? Imagine you guys 1 year later. And I was like, yes, I am. And he told me, come on Wednesday morning by 8 o'clock to the office. You guys, I pushed days with my hand literally. Those days, nobody was watching Citizen. Even KBC was better than Citizen. Citizen was just doing Citizen was the worst station. The big TV stations those days were KTN and Nation, because Nation was having the beat and stuff. KTN was Babi, had Kina Swale Mdoe. Citizen was nothing. On Wednesday morning, I went to something Juma Road, where Citizen is, Royal Media Group. So I went and I went to the reception, and Ben Anochokelo sent somebody to pick me up. I went to his office, a very tiny office, and then he gave me scripts from the newsroom, from the Citizen newsroom, to translate into Doluo. When I did it, he just left me there. Actually, he just stood and went. Had gone for lunch, because it took time. The whole process took time. So when I realized nobody's in the office, people have gone for lunch, what did I do? I took my legs and went out of the gate. Then I reached Chaka Place. When I got to Chaka Place, I got a call again. And it was, where are you? And I said, I thought I'd finished, so I thought maybe you'll call me again to tell me whether I'm in or not. So I have left. I said, come back to the office at 2 a.m. You're going to the studio. That is how I got my job. I went back the same day, the same minute. I went to Ramogi FM, and I was put in the studio with a guy called Rafael Kasuku. He was doing Donse Donse. That is how I started sniffing on the radio. I joined Ramogi FM breakfast show Wangonyango, from which ran from 9 to 1, and I can even tell you to date how I introduced. Stella Yimba taught me.
Proud chocolates.
Amoso udu fanyiko Ramogi juan kumora murama winja. Bangbe do kodja lendo ubeno locho kelo kocha koresa paga chele wangenya Sadek. Sadeke wangini winjo weche manyen mwa pachoka ko da pinje mao ko pano kenu kanyo kodja lendo Charles Obiambo. Omi mara ko weche roma wangonyango and Stella Yimba to kodteria tino nyangia. Stella trained me. It was like probation. I was like Stella Yimba's assistant. I became literally Stella's assistant. When she went for lunch, I followed her. When she went to shop, I was on her back. When she got a mega rider to go to get into the Kenya bus, I was in there. I was always with Stella because I had the passion to learn. And I knew this is what I want to do. I've finally found my passion and I want to do this. I was following Stella everywhere. But you know, Stella those days, Stella was a big star because it was the first time a Luo station was becoming big after that one of Muga Kabisai of KBC, which was not so common. So this was the first private Luo radio station. So it was going to be big, and Stella was a star. So many big people in Kenya in the Luo community loved Stella. So I was always holding Stella's hand. So even if she went for lunch and we went somewhere for lunch, somebody offered to pay for her, she'd also pay for me. That is how I started having contact with politicians. Stella taught me how to get what you want and how to get help. Because she was also just a poor girl from my same area, Siaya Karapul. That is where she comes from. And I'm from Nia. And she taught me, don't walk looking shoddy because you're poor. The little money you have, get something nice to dress in. Talk well, use your passion, and make sure you concentrate on your passion, and you'll get there. Stella pushed me and pushed me. Then there's a lot of politics when it comes to Luo businesses. Our station had politics. I was still new. I was the youngest there. I was the most flexible. Because these people had their houses, but me, I was living with an auntie. You know, if you really live with relatives, the way they're strict and it's not your house. So you always want to find somewhere to spend the day. So anybody who fell out, anybody who was sick, anybody who was I used to take their programs. So I was working at Ramogi from Monday to Monday, the whole weekend, the whole week. Anybody who had no time, I would be asked to step in for them. And I loved it because I didn't want to get home early. At Ramogi FM and at Citizen and in all media houses, if you are working after 7, at least after 8 p.m., those who are reading the 9 o'clock news, those who are doing 10 o'clock, you have to wait in the office until everybody has finished. Then you're given cars to go to your direction. There's a car going to Thika Road, there's a car going to Langata, there's a car going to Milongo, there's a car going to Jogo Road. And so all those who live in Langata must get into one car. And you have to drop everybody until the last one is dropped. So I used to be in the Langata car. And in the Langata car, we used to be with a guy called Tom Boyer. You know Tom Boyer from Citizen News and then Nation News. Nowadays, he's a musician. I was telling you, there was some jealousy in the office. And there was a big problem because Adori Nyarokumu wanted to come back to her job. But there are people who are blocking her. So there are people who are for her, there are people who are not for her. And me, I was new here, I don't even know who she is. So I didn't know, so I had to be neutral. So one day the boss, the daughter of the boss, Mweshimo Macharia, the daughter is the one who runs, or those days ran the businesses of Citizen. So we were brought into the boardroom the all Ramogi fraternity. And we had to discuss our issues. But I was new, I was very innocent, I didn't know anything. So they asked people to vote who wants Adori back. Of course, I raised my hand. And yeah, so there was a lot of police. So people started hating. And so issues came up, and then Sela Imba and Ben Olochokelo had to leave. Had to leave Ramogi FM. Remember, Ben was my boss. He's the one who brought me this employment, who gave me this opportunity. And now he was leaving Ramogi FM because of issues. So when I remained here, I remained alone. I remained alone. And this jealousy came on to me also. I'm young and I have a lot of programs. They kept telling me, oh, you're too young, you're too young. Some of them who are telling me are still there and they're listening now. They're still, I worked with Oguyo Guyo, I worked with Freddy Janam, I worked with Charles Obiambo, I worked with James Rabala, I worked with the late, what's his name? The one who played Rumba, Agao Patrobas. They were all in the same office with me. And so, Marco Kundi gave up. He was small-hearted. He was not so strong. He gave up and left. So, I remained as the only presenter of Wangwanyango. And I did it so well. My auntie had her restaurant at Embassy House. Embassy House is just next to Parliament. So at lunchtime, she was doing these traditional meals like samaki, boil, nyama boil, those things. My auntie had a rule in her house, and that is something that was just helping us. That whether you're studying or going to college or working, at 1 p.m., everybody who lives in my house must be in the restaurant to help service. So I used to rush. I used to present, and when it reaches 1, I just say, I sign out by saying, Koradi Chimo Stomach Clinic. Because I'm trying to market my uncle's and auntie's business in a tricky way. Because otherwise they have to pay a lot of money to be able to do what? To be able to have an advertisement on the radio. So I said, what can I give back to my auntie and my uncle for giving me accommodation in their house? What can I give? How can I show them that I love them? And the only thing that came into my mind was when I'm doing my program, Chiela. Chiela was a program that you're cooking with your mouth. You just say, now you want to, in the Luo, kono wedo chielo omena ka uno gikuon, omena gikuon, ika kitungu, ingado, kasi keto sufria gi mo, ti wang, tasi ngado nyanya wiye, ti keto roiko, ti luoko, omena gi pima liet, ti nyumo, ti chielo, ti keto chumbi. You know, you are speaking with our mouths. And then when I finish, I say, Tomaya gima bichamo, Stomach Clinic Sani. My uncle's restaurant was called Stomach Clinic. So all those who remember those days used to hear this girl saying she's going to eat at Stomach Clinic. That was me, Terry Nyangia. After that, the next thing was to take a matatu and rush to Embassy House and do my job. Those days, KTN was at Nyayo House. So it's very close to Parliament and Embassy House. So we had customers. Every big person in Nairobi came to Stomach Clinic. If my auntie noticed that you're talking to these big people, she felt always those are her friends. And my uncle also, those are his friends. He didn't know that even me, I can have contact with them. So I used to have contact with them. And then later on, after I've finished my job and I'm going home between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m., I meet them somewhere and they buy me a glass of juice. I get some pocket money left and right. I get some money. I get some money from this. They tell me, the most, go and greet me in the radio, like that, and they give me something. And when I go to the radio the next day, I start greeting people. I say, Mari, Waja CBK, this, and this. Then I come, and if I'm broke or I need something, they give me. And sometimes they come to the restaurant and they tell they tell my auntie that they want to buy me a soda. And then I take the soda, but I don't drink it. In the evening, I give the soda back to the cashier, and he gives me money. That is how I live my life. So, into working in Ramogi, my application to au pair had already gone. So Lulu called me one day to the office and told me, hey Terry, after lunch, now I'd come from work, you've got a family in Germany. And I was like, Mayo. I've got a family in Germany and I'm already having an employment, though I'm not being paid yet, but I'm doing what I love. What do I do? So it was to weigh between, depending on people here in Nairobi because of your passion, or going out there into a world that you may never ever get an opportunity to go to, because in my family, nobody else went out. My cousins, yes, but in my mother's house, I am the only one abroad. I never dreamt even of going to England or to even Uganda. It was just through this au pair thing. So I was torn in between. So I started getting lazy and I was like, no. So Lulu told me, Terry, you have to go to the embassy. I'm preparing everything for you. You have to go to the embassy because the family has already sent documents and we can't cut things short. You also passed your exams at German language school and you have certificate. Please just go to the embassy. Maybe you will not get a visa, then we can tell them you don't have a visa. Or maybe the visa will take long and you still can decide. That is what we did. I went to the embassy at Riverside Drive, German embassy, with some other girls too. And because I was not even for that visa, I was just going because Lulu sent me there. So when I got there, I was asked only 2 questions in German. What is your family's telephone number and what do they do and what is their names? And I said it in German the way they wanted. And I was told that my visa will be ready in 6 weeks. It was so easy those days because nobody was going to Germany. So I came back and I went back to work as usual. So I worked. I even forgot about those visa issues. I worked, I was enjoying my Ramogi, I was working like I was working. And then one day, I was called and told that my visa was ready. This is when my problems began. I told my mother that my visa is ready to go to Germany. And my mother, before, instead of even chilling and asking me whether I want to go or not, she just started feeling like now she has a visa and if she doesn't manage to go to Germany, it will be a shame. So she said, better I start early than late. So she told her churchmates and her family, her brothers, her friends, to join in together and to get money for me for my air ticket to go to Germany. I have a visa. And my church is very good. My community near, that is why I'm calling Nyangea Cha. They are so together and they're so loving. They stood with my mother and they arranged for a harambe. I didn't know about it at all. Until one Friday, my sister had come from Netherlands. She was going to be traditionally married at home in the village. Half sister, we share one father. And me, I was not living at my father's home. We were living in here with my mother. But my sister was going to get married at my father's home. So my sister came to the restaurant where I was working part-time at my auntie's restaurant and told me, Terry, I'm going to be married tomorrow. I've come to pick you up. We go to Shago, so you be in my wedding. And immediately auntie calls me. My auntie tells me, your mom wants you to go to the village tonight because tomorrow, Saturday, you have a harambe for your air ticket. And I'm like, what do I do? What air ticket? My mother had arranged everything and I was supposed to go appear for the harambe because people cannot do for you a fundraising and they don't see you. So I had to make a choice. So I told my sister, I'll go home tonight with a Kamba bus. But then after that fundraising, I'll come home to your wedding. Because I thought the fundraising was going to happen in the morning and then it's over. When I got home, the fundraising was going to happen in the afternoon. So by the time even the harambe finished, I could not go home to my sister. And my sister even felt bad about it because she thought I ignored her. And even later when I was telling her, she was telling me, you would have just come to my wedding. My husband would have sponsored you for your journey to Germany. So anyway, the money that came out of that harambe, my uncle's monies, my people's money, my mother's friends' money, and everybody who supported my mom, was 50,000 Kenyan shillings. Within this 50,000 Kenyan shillings, my mother had to pay the cooks. The cooks who had cooked for the guests of honor and stuff. You know, when you're doing a fundraising in Kenya, there's a guest of honor, there's a party also. So let me just say around 10,000 of my money had to pay those people. And then my sister, who was supposed to carry this money to Nairobi, my big sister, had come to do what? To pick the money because my mother didn't trust me with such an amount of money. So her also, she had to be given transport to go back to Nairobi. And she had to take this money directly to my auntie who I was living with. So me, I just came here just to show myself and that's it. So at the end of the day, the money that remained in for that air ticket was only 38,000 Kenyan shillings. So this 38,000 was given to my auntie, but my auntie was an exposed lady. Her family, mostly they're abroad. So there are people who are exposed. She's the one who even exposed us to this Manju thing, and I thank her for that. So my auntie just told us point blank, this money cannot be enough to buy Terry air ticket. And I just said, I'm not going to Germany. I can't. So I went back to work. I didn't even tell anybody at work that I have a visa. I stayed at Ramogi FM for another 1.5 months. And Lulu kept telling my family in Germany that I'm sick, I have malaria. We had to always find a reason not for them to have to be sad because they have paid also an agency to get me. And here I am, I don't want to go. And there's no way they can be told that I don't want to go. And my mother also this side, Terry Yawa, you know I know you love what you're doing, but you know people are thinking of eating their money. People who came for that Harambee, they were wondering, this girl that we did an Harambee for, this girl we fundraised for, she's supposed to be in Germany. Why are we still hearing her voice at Ramogi FM? So you know, somebody can think that we have conned them. So I kept working, but I always felt guilty and I was pained. I was doing my passion. I didn't want to leave this place. I loved my job. I had enough shows, 5 shows. But I can't be in peace because my mother is worried about people thinking that she has conned them of money. On the other side, my auntie has less money, and even if she adds money on it, because she had a restaurant, she added actually money for me. She added I think 20,000. Those days 20,000 was like 200,000. It was a lot of money. But it was still not enough because my air ticket, one-way ticket to Germany was 80,000. I started contacting these politicians that I got to know, these businessmen, these people, these big people. And they used to give me, chip in something small. People give me, even one last one who was working for the Ministry of, Education, there at Harambee Avenue, told me point blank, Terry, my daughter has been sent home for school fees, but I know how desperate you are for your passion. Let's go to Barclays Prestige, I'll give you the money. And then there's also a guy here who is watching me who is called Kodes John. Kodes, thank you. Kodes John also had a company of clearing and forwarding. Also a very good friend of mine. And this Kodes John is the one that even made me leave Ramogi because Nyandingo Panga was his neighbor. And of course, Nyandingo now had given birth and had come back to work and needed her programs back. But I was not leaving the program because even me now, if I go back to Ramogi, the lady who I left my job for, very talented, hardworking, perfect, very good at what she does. Her name is Ruth Nyandimo. Ruth used to come to Ramogi FM to do advertisements like Omo, what, all these advertisements, all these things that you hear, Chipsy, Roico, wherever, Weetabix, what. Her voice was very good for classifieds. So she used to come in, go to the office at Barry Lotino's office and record classifieds and then leave. So when I told my boss, Freddy Afune, that I had to go to Germany, he said, we have to train somebody else. And so when I was asked who can chip in for me so that we work 1 week before I leave, at least for some time before I leave, I said, Ruth Nyandimo. It is me who proposed her. And so Ruth Nyandimo was told that she has to start working with me in the studio the next day. So that is how we started presenting with Ruth Nyandimo Wangonyango until I left it for her. Before I left, Mary Wera came back from maternity and Nyandingo Panga came back from maternity. But I was doing their programs. I had already gotten used to my job, the programs. People knew me. People were enjoying with me. I was playing good music. They loved my voice. How again can I give up my job? So it was up to them to find other programs. So Nyandingo started hating on me very, very badly. And she kept hearing on radio when I'm on the program. I was greeting this Kodes John. You know, I appreciate you guys here. These names you know from my radio. That is how I was at Ramogi also. So people loved me for that. So my fellow presenter used to hear me call this name. This person was his neighbor. So she thought it twice. She said, oh, this is the only way I can get rid of Terry. So she started telling the wife of this Kodes John that I am grooving with Kodes. And me, even that time for concubining, I didn't have it. Because my auntie who I was living with was so strict that when I was doing my late night shows and I'm closing the studio and being dropped, I had to make sure somebody took me into our house to explain to my auntie why I'm late. And that was done by Tom Boyer. That was done by, when I was in KTN, it was done by Michael Oyer. Came to my auntie's house and sat on the sofa opposite my auntie and my uncle and told them she was still doing bulleting and that is why she's late. So I was in a strict situation. I could not go for dates after 5 p.m. It is impossible. So working for this radio is the one that made me at least be able to stay a little bit later. And even when I was in the radio, when I told my aunties and my uncle that I am still at work, my uncle was always listening to Ramogi FM until I dropped the microphone. And then he gives me like 1 hour to get home. So there's no way I was going to lie that I'm at work when I'm not at work. So my uncle, Mr. Wandare, would call and say, Terry, you go up to studio na kusikia. Pigia me Amilo Love. He loved Amilo Love by Otieno Small. And so I could not lie. So, these people whom I was greeting, my friends, they used to come to my uncle's restaurant, of course. And then we talk and they give me some cash. Of course, they help me. They're rich people. They have money. They know I'm poor. So even Codes used to give me money. Why not? And if he calls you to come to season supper to kule chipo, nikubaye chipo, I go and eat. As long as he's not taking me to a date outside the town, or he's not calling me for a date in the evening when I'm supposed to be home. My dates with my people, my 42 boyfriends, I keep telling you, was always between this 3 p.m. that I've finished working at my auntie's house and 5 p.m. If I'm to go back to the studio to do evening jobs, I'll go back and then I'll be dropped by the company. But if I'm not to go back, I have to leave leave town by at least 3:30 because I also loved the beat. And my uncle's house was full of people. And so the first person to get home had the remote. And I could not miss the beat by DJ Pinye. I could not miss that program. So it was up to you to rush home to get the remote. So there was no way I was going to sit with somebody in the restaurant for so long, yet I need to watch the beat. So these are just stories, not that I'm mad about it. No, we are now old people, we are now adults. Those children that were born those days are now in university or are working. So it is just a story. So you know me, okay? So Nyandingo Panga, if you're listening to me, it is not from the bad heart. I love you very much and I know those were days and I understand that you needed your job back. Even me would do that. So anyway, the wife of that Codes started mobilizing people to call. When I'm doing a show, I would say, now call in and do your request or call in and greet somebody. So when I put the phone, I connected to on air, somebody just started abusing me. Oh, you are grooving with Ben Anochokelo and he has, I don't know, AIDS. You are what? You are grooving with people's wives, And then you always have to drop. These things happen to every presenter who does live shows in Kenya. If you don't know, I'm telling you today. So they keep dropping calls. When you're listening to radio and you hear a radio presenter saying that we just lost that caller, we lost that caller, and try again to call, that means maybe themselves have dropped that call because of other reasons. So that's what happened to me. But because I was still too young, I was still in my teens. Long story. Let me just rewind a bit. I cleared Form 4 and my mother connected with my uncle because my uncle, this is my big police uncle, had contacts. And so my mother was afraid if I stay home for long over December holidays, I would get pregnant. Because my sister that I'm following gave birth early. It was meant to be. So, in those days, if your daughter gave birth at early age, it was a bit embarrassing. It was just not nice. So my mother didn't want me to also get pregnant in the village. So my mother told my uncle, please make sure no matter ID. Tafadhali just, so my uncle went and pushed my age and my ID was made and the things just went. And connection, those days corruption was very, very huge and not so bad, it was normal. So I was even at Maseno University, but mostly spending my college at my time at where? At KBC. Because the college I started at was called SIAD and it was closed down. So that is how I got my connection back through a professor called Otumba at Siriba campus. But because I didn't have the money for the campus and for everything, I did like distance studies through connections. Moreover, my own father who gave back to me was a big friend of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. And he was the one who was one of the people who were financing Jaramogi Oginga Odinga's campaigns. So connection works. That is why I got to where I got. So I was the youngest at Ramogi. So the pressure was too much. And I remember Oguyo told me, Terry, you're still too young. This pressure is too much. I've heard you want to go to Germany. You better just go. Then you'll come back when you're older. But he just wanted me to leave. Because I was giving them pressure. I was working here and their former colleagues have no jobs. So I said, this embarrassment I can't. My name is being spoiled. I can't handle the pressure. So I gave in and said, I'm going to Germany. That is how I walked into Fred Afune's office and told him, Freddie, I am leaving for Germany. But I had to lie because I was not sure what I was expecting abroad. So I told Freddie, I've gotten a chance to attach at Deutsche Welle Radio. Because I had applied to Deutsche Welle for sure when I was at KBC, but I never got a reply. So it was just in my mind. So Freddie asked me, for how long do you have a visa? And I showed him the visa, I showed him everything, and he believed me. Because those days, who would just walk into your office and tell you he has a visa to Germany, or she has a visa to Germany, surely? You see somebody in the office working at Ramogi every day, some young kid, and then she walks into your office and tells you, I have a visa to Germany and I'm going there for 3 months. Because ukweli, my visa wrote 3 months. That is what they give people first. So I told him, you see, it's written 3 months. I'm going to attach for 3 months, and then I come back. So, and I want my job back. So he told me, okay, you'll have to give me time before you go so that you can train somebody else to your job. That is how I trained. And we worked with Nyajimo for maybe 3 weeks before I left the job for her. My family were journalists according to the invitation card. And me, I was coming from being celebrated. I was a celebrity in my Luo community, Buana. So I was like, okay. So when I got here, I realized I'd come to be a maid. If you want to listen to that story, click on my au pair story. You get this part of the story in there, so I don't waste time. So I realized I was a maid here, and it disturbed me. So they gave me a phone. And where I was coming from in Kenya, first of all, people had no phones. Secondly, those who had to buy credit to put into this phone. You have to keep contact for your job to be maintained for you. So every day, through this phone, I called Agao Patrobas, I called Benolucho Kelo, I called everybody. Every day. And at the end of the month, I was broke and I needed to send also money home, like Sophie sent home when Akinyi died. Then I asked them, what's wrong? Why are people not giving me my money? And they were like, you have created a bill that we have to pay for months. And I said, why? Only to realize that in Germany, you go to like Safaricom or Kcell, and you choose a phone and you write a contract with them to pay for that phone every month for maybe even 2 years or 3 years. But with that, they give you credit permanent in your phone with a limit, like a limit. Hey, me, I was using things that I don't know about. Things happened and many other things happened. I left the family. Get the story, the whole story on my YouTube right now. You'll get it. You know, when you live with relatives and you leave and go abroad, some other relatives joins and takes the space. So now, despite the fact that I really wanted to go back to Kenya, it was not going to be possible because I was not going to have a place to stay in Nairobi. I was going to come back without any money. I was going to come back without a certificate from Deutsche Welle attachment. How was I going to come back? So I realized, I have to struggle and make sure I live here. I didn't know I was going to be a maid, and I couldn't just be, it was hard for me to be a maid. I tried my best, but I'd been maid enough at my auntie's house that I just didn't want to come to leave a job at radio station and come back to be a maid here. The husband of this lady I was living with, he was a new husband of hers. In Germany, people marry day in, day out. So my host mother was just newly married. And this husband of hers had a previous marriage in Hamburg. So his 2 children used to come every weekend from Hamburg with the flight to come to stay the weekend with us down in Stuttgart. This is where I had this name Hamburg. And I said, this Hamburg, where people are just flying here in Germany. And I've never, apart from flying from my country, Kenya, to this place, I've never flew within Germany. This flight that these little kids are taking every Friday, even me, I want to have this flight. And I want to go to see this Hamburg because those kids looked so mwah, 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 mwah. I love them. And I said, this Hamburg is where I want to go. So when I left that family and my friend Akinyi was trying to help me, I insisted to Akinyi that I want to go to Hamburg. So Akinyi told me, okay, we find a family in Hamburg and you find your way there. And I got to Hamburg. So when I got to Hamburg, the family was very nice to me and I lived with them for 4 years. But for me to live with them for those 4 years, I closed the chapter of coming back to work on that radio station because my sister Diambi, when I called her, she would tell me, because she was a fan of Ramogi FM, Terry, oh, Kikiduog Kenya, Kikiduog Nyatewa, ni kech, Nyajimo sanio mako radio no omera jio here. Which means, Terry, please don't come back to Kenya. You won't get your job back. Nyajimo Nyongo has gotten hold of that program and she's so good and people love her now. So just concentrate and stay there. So if you've already had that, so what am I going to do in Kenya again? And some other thing that pushed me to come to Germany was because I thought I was going to learn English and come and work in Kiss, because I knew if I work at Ramogi FM for many years, I'll not be able to speak English. But coming to Germany, I realized they don't speak what? English. They speak German. So it was worse plus worse is equals to worse. You people, I regretted leaving Kenya for years. You know what I used to do? Let me show you. This is my laptop, the first laptop I ever acquired in this country. I used to sit with this laptop that was bought for me by my host family. I used to do podcasts and keep here. Anytime I'm free, even if I go to Netherlands to visit my sister, Grace, I go into the bedroom and I'm just talking to myself and she was like, Terry, you still really want the radio? And I said, this is the only way I can work out my deteriorating mental health. I was regretting leaving my job to death. Just like I always keep telling you, that what I feel made Conjestina sick was the fact that she cannot get back to boxing. Because I've experienced that. If you have been celebrated and you love what you do, and then suddenly you don't have it because of choices, you can regret, it can kill you. My way of working out this stress I had was to record myself. I used to do programs. I'm just clicking and I'm recording. I'm also doing ni kora moge jonko mara winja one dichendro sami mara mos nyawadu katamani kama, and I record and then I go to the sitting room and tell my sister, listen, is it nice? And my sister would just tell me, Nyatiwa, I pray for you one day you'll have a radio station. This laptop is full of my podcasts. I kept wishing that I go back to radio. When I went back in 2007, that's when I went for my first holiday after coming to Germany. I went to Ramogi FM, and my whole holiday I spent at Ramogi. I was sitting in the office with Kina John Otieno and just translating Ramogi scripts. They were even afraid that I was going to take up the job. And I remember even one day I was coming back to the office while I'm on holiday, and I was refused to come into the gate. And then I asked why, and I was told that Mama Louie, that is Elizabeth who? That time when I came back, she was the head of Ramogi, had issued a warning to the gate that I don't be let in. Why? Because Nyajima Nyuongo was afraid that I was going to take up the job, and she was very close to Mama Louie. So she told Mama Louie, I'm illegal in the station. I come to sit in the office, but I'm not a member of Citizen Fraternity. So Mama Louie issued a message at the gate that I not be let in. So that is how I realized, oh, you're not welcomed here. And I came back to Germany. So when I came back to Germany, I was still stressed up, and I felt like, I want to go back to Kenya. And that time elections was coming. Raila was going to be the president according to me. My head was still in the radio, and I'd already tested radio again a bit. I couldn't concentrate at my family's house. So when I came, I was so homesick that I couldn't just stay there. So I told them, I want to pick up my things and go back to Kenya. But then I didn't have a ticket. So we got an ad there, and then I left the house the same day and went to my friend Tina. And Tina warned me and told me, Terry, you're getting homesick. I know it's just homesick, but you know there's elections coming up. Stay fast with me. If Raila becomes the president, then you can go. If he doesn't become the president, then you know it's not for you. Just go back to your family. So that is how I ended up living with Tina for some time. The stories are all on YouTube. This guy who thinks that my YouTube is made of his songs. My YouTube was made of stories and a lot of things. But now I'm bringing them back, don't worry. Anyhow, he lost in 2007. I said, Jesus Christ. Tina was also now, could not even cater for me. And now Kenya was having a war. And I still had a visa valid for Germany. We just called my family and I told them, I regret, sorry, I was just homesick and this and this and this, and now there's war in Kenya, I cannot go, please help me. Then they helped me and took me back to their home again. So I studied at Hamburg University, and I did this and that left and right. I worked, I struggled, other stories. And then one day, I heard that there was an African station being opened in Hamburg, Germany, called African Heritage. I said, this is my chance. I applied there. I was lucky again as usual. The head of that radio station wrote me an email and told me, if you could come before December ends, that was now in 2014, I want to see what you can do so that when we're starting 2015, we start afresh with you. So I used to work on Fridays. That is how Friday came in. Now you know. Now I was living in a country where there's camera. The things I wanted to do at Ramogi that I could not do, it was now my opportunity. And in this radio station, there are many other radio presenters doing different languages. They wanted me specifically for Luo. So I started doing a Luo program. There was no live then. There was no live. But there was Facebook. Before that, I was very private on Facebook. Very private. I used to have one profile picture for 1 year. And mostly it was Rihanna. Those days we used to put Rihanna's face or maybe Beyonce on your profile picture, you know. So now this was a chance for me to show the world what I'm really passionate about. Dongimoro Pinmingima. If you listen to that song, Okelo Visual Radio, I'm the one who started visual radio. Doing radio and showing on TV. Things that now you see all radio stations in Kenya are doing. They're all now doing radio and recording and putting on YouTube. It is me who was the first to do that. So I used to record my shows and post. Record and post. Record and post. Until my boss got a bit jealous and said, are you here to work for my station because I need you to be online, or you're here to record for Facebook, for your page. He wanted me to do the radio, to market the radio station, not market myself. I'm an employee, not a person of my own. But I thought to myself, I am not being paid here because it was a volunteer job. It was a volunteer thing for immigrants. Because Germany, the radio stations are all speaking German. And our people are missing their what? Their language and their music. So it was an opportunity for all expatriates, diasporans, to get to the radio and listen to their own thing. So I used to record and post for those people who are not online when I'm on radio, because Fridays people are working. And so I got to the station always at 10 a.m. and I had 5 hours. But there's some people who are working, they're only free in the evening, you know. So I had no choice. So I used to come home then and post. Then one day I got an email from Facebook. The email was sent to other people too. But it was written, we are starting something, or they've innovated something, and they want testers. So they have put on the button for my live to try it. Not everybody had the live button, only few. And I know those days who are there, you saw me going live and you're trying your own live and it's not working. Because specific people were sent this button. They were just doing a test. And these people are the people who used to post videos a lot on Facebook. So Facebook thought, instead of these people posting videos here, why don't they just go live? This is how I came live. Belinda is one of the people also who went live with that button. Because also here, she used to do some other Sirumba, what. We were the pioneers. We were the first live people on Facebook. I used to go live, and that's how people started following me and watching me. And I said, this is why I want to show people what I do on radio. People listen to the radio only with ears. But I now have the opportunity to show people what happens in the radio. So I would put a song in and dance. That is how people knew me, through dancing. And even my former bosses, Ben and Wuchokelo, they used to come here on my page and type. I remember one day Ben wrote that we used to call her Terry Nyange, and I really appreciated. They all were watching. And even I was told there was a meeting that happened at Ramogi FM some years back, 2 years or so. They were being addressed to see what I'm doing. Those days, YouTube was there, but YouTube's motto was YouTube broadcast yourself. I was not understanding what they mean by broadcast yourself. I used to go to YouTube. You didn't have to have an email to be on YouTube. You could just click on YouTube and go in directly without any email address, without nothing. And what I used to watch on YouTube was people who were doing dreadlocks, because I really wanted to do dreadlocks, but I didn't have the guts. Being that I'm coming from a Christian family, I didn't have. So that's all I used to do, and to listen to music. Those days, let me just be real with you, to access Luo music was difficult. So what we used to do is, as presenters, and you want to earn some little cash outside, when you're doing your radio station, when you're doing your program, you put a CD into the machine, the computer of the station, and you burn some music. Like this thing. Nowadays, laptops don't even have this thing. You see here? This space here. Nowadays, most laptops don't have it. Even this laptop of mine doesn't have it. Yeah? But we banned music, and then we sell them out there for people who really love Luo music and don't have them. That is how we earned extra cash. So even me, I banned a lot of CDs, and I carried them to Germany. So I used to play them within myself, and my friends, Kina Rosio Mala, they would say, hey, Terry, unapendanga Luo music. And that is how, those music are the ones I started with. I love Luo music. I used to go to the tent and the bridge to listen to Musa Juma at Kosewe. I've been Luo music from day one. So YouTube there was nothing like monetizing. I didn't even know how to upload, I don't know, but I was still promoting music. So one day, I was searching the same YouTube, looking for a song that could match my program Furahide. The previous one that I had is here. I can even type it here so that you can listen to it a bit. Filanga free, ni Friday. This is the song that I used to use for my shows. When people just had that, they would know I'm coming to the station. Let's just listen to this song. You've not heard it for so long. So when that song bored me, it became so monotonous, I was looking for another song, another rumbalicious song, a song that is danceable to use as my theme song. So I was searching YouTube, and I got a song titled Furahide. So I got to see who had played it. And then I realized that he had 3 other songs on YouTube. One called Yahweh that had been sung on a Lingala tune. It was very bad quality, but I loved it. It was kind of a gospel song on a Lingala tune. Another one that was there was a song called Nyajaluo. Not the Nyajaluo you know, it was some other one. It was nice. It was nice. I liked the way it was saying Nyajaluo, but it had really nothing special. And then with this Furahi Day. So when I started playing this Furahi Day, I said, hey, who is the owner of this thing? So I was playing it, then I wrote on Facebook one day to ask if somebody knows this name that I've gotten, because only that song had this name he's using, and the other one called Yahweh had another name of his. I don't know, pastor, apostle, something. So I said, this is the same person because I love this voice. I love this voice. Who is this person? And the videos had only maybe 10 clicks, or maybe maybe the clicks were even from me, because I'm the one who kept playing them in the house here and wondering, who is this? I think somebody told him that there's this girl in Germany who is doing live shows in Germany is playing your song and is looking for you. So I just was looking for them because I love the way he's singing. So I want him to make me a theme song for my show. So I have to find out who he is. So then one day I get an inbox message and tell, yeah, here's me. He was wearing some white. He was dressed in white, coffee, white, topia, white. And then he tells me, oh, I've been told about you, and yeah, it would be nice to work with you. I asked him, can I use your song Furahi Day? I like it because it's good with my program Furahi Day, and he allowed me. And then I started playing it, and people started knowing, and then I could play it and play the Nyajaluo, play the Nyajaluo. Then one day, it was on a Thursday morning or a Friday morning. My mother was sitting right here on the corner. My sister was sitting here, Sheila. They were having breakfast. I had overslept because when my mom and my sister are here, I can sleep a bit. So when I came downstairs, the first thing that Sheila told me, because my niece Sheila is like my twin, has access to the whole of my life. So Sheila told me, hey Terry, umepata nini? Umepata message hapa. Imetoka kwa huyo mtu. Na amesema check your email. I went to my email and checked my email. Just the way I'm playing music here, this system is always connected to my laptop. My mother was sitting here, my sister was sitting here. I played the song and I had this Nyajaluo remix. Someone like Akode, Nyamigori, Jabetio Matek Chamoluche, someone like Terry Nyania, Proud Teresia. And he told me, use that song, play that song for me. It was the first time that I was hearing somebody singing about me, and it was in length. Nobody knew him really. It was worth it. I played that song the first person here, this new one. And I sat down because I have editing skills. I'm from a media background. And I collected the photos of every girl who was mentioned in that song. Nyajimo Nyongo, Mary Wera, Akode with her pictures, Akode Safaris. Everything. That when he's saying, I put Akode Safaris there. I put that. I did a nice video. I did a video and I put it on YouTube. Those days there was no monetization, but now I've known how to upload. That was in 2015 or 16. That video was clicked. If it was still there now, it would be having maybe 2 million or even 3 million clicks. I started playing that song. People started knowing. People loved it. It was a song that was it was describing a Luo. It was a nice song. If somebody can sing, he can sing. And that is what attracted me. This voice and that singing, because I love Luo music, and this was another way of singing. This was my way of singing. I loved songs, Luo songs, but this one was my kind of way. I can swing to it. I love it. I used that song until one day he wrote me and told me that I'm the face of that song, and he wants to launch it, and I should find Winnie Odinga to go and do what? And be the guest of honor of his launch. And I said, Winnie is complicated. Winnie is too hard to deal with. I cannot. So I don't know how Waze, and he went to try, and he got Mama Ida, and Mama Ida did not go. Mama Ida sent Rosie. And after that, I had a 6 months break, and I was in Dubai for 6 months. So I started just doing shows for YouTube, for Facebook, because I had now live. And then he started writing to me that he wants to shoot the Nyajaluo video, but because I'm the face of Nyajaluo, I need to go and shoot it. And I said, I cannot. I'm not into dancing in Luo music videos. That is not me. I love hearing a voice, but I dance different. I don't like videos that people are dancing, these girls who dance. It's okay, it's Luo-ish, but it's not me. Me, if I'm doing a video with a song, I want that when you're mentioning a name, I want to see the person. when you're saying something being done, maybe drinking even changa, I want to see somebody drinking that changa. So I like doing videos that you watch and you what the person is saying, you see it being done. So that is why I did my videos, the videos that you saw on YouTube, for them with my whole heart. I promoted, people started clicking, people started, who is this person? And he kept producing more and sending me direct to my email. Sending and asked me to play, making for me directly. Then he had some problems. At the time he had his problems. He said, now I'm going back to gospel, please. And I said, you started with gospel. You were once a preacher. You are, I don't know, a pianist for even in India. And you also know how to sing rumba. Why don't you mix the two and call those things gospel rumba? I swear by my grandmother's petticoat, I'm the one who invented the word gospel rumba. And I told him, instead of dilly-dallying left and right, you are good at both. Why don't you do gospel rumba? Nobody is innate. As a specialist, as a person who knows Luo music, as a person who still has a fresh brain. That is how this person started calling his songs gospel rumba. So this is how these songs that you hear, these gospel songs that sound like rumba, came in. Those days he used to say he's a jadoho. That is what he used to say. And I remember there's a guy called Victor Opio. Victor Opio Art is a young artist from Madare North. Drew me. He drew a portrait of myself. He took my picture from Facebook, my profile picture, the only one that used to be there, and drew it. So he wanted me to get it so that I can market him. Because he's also a singer somehow. He sings some raps. Let me play you one song that he sings.
Seriously. Bending air nengo pi. Seriously. Ananga nengo pi. Seriously. Bending air nengo pi. Seriously. Ananga nengo pi. Seriously. Bending air nengo pi. Seriously. Ananga nengo pi. Inyalo yudo nyako moro inyalo wuoyo go Otono ng'uta inya kendo duki kama mos Inyalo mor ndi kaka ise yudo dem To kare gimoting'o karo ting'o mana tuo Chake yudo wuoyi moro inyalo wuoyo go Agogo pong'a inya kendo wang'o timo mo Inyalo mor ndi kaka ise romo go To kare gimoting'o karo ting'o mana tuo Like seriously Bendi ng'eyo nengo pi Seriously Ana ng'eyo nengo pi
So Victor drew me. So I was in Germany and Victor is in Nairobi. And Victor really wants me to have this picture and market it for him. The picture is upstairs. Should I rush and get that picture? This is the picture I've run. My house is big. It has 3 floors, 12 rooms. So getting up there is not easy. And that is why I don't go to the radio station up there. My radio station is up here, 3rd floor. So it's difficult. We will try. So that's why I had to run. So forgive me. A moment of silence for my fallen YouTube channel. Okay. So this picture here was drawn by Victor Opio Art. After he drew this picture, this guy I'm talking about, this person who thinks he knows me and he doesn't know me in bits, he quickly contacted this boy and told him he wants him also to draw him with his 2 wives. He had 2 wives at that time. Not the mother of that child that is famous. No, that one he had already left. He had 2 wives that he was married to, and he was telling us very well that he's a jadoho. So one of them was the yellow Kamba lady, and one of them was also yellow, but she's very successful. She's here, she's watching me. But I'm just saying the truth. He had those 2 wives. So he had taken photos with both of them. They were holding one another like this. The lady was here in front and like family portrait. But anyway, I continued to play the song because me, I love music. So I really love this music. And then when time came for me to start my radio station, I told him, of course, about it and saying, I'm moving from that station to this station. And if you like, I would really appreciate if you make me jingles, because I loved his production. I didn't know any other producer at that time, Luo producer. I only knew him. What would I do? And I need jingles. So I told him, please, could you do me some jingles? And he agreed very fast, and he even told me that, you know, I don't want to do secular music anymore. I want to be a pastor now. So if you could allow me to send you my preachings And he started a page called blah, blah, blah ministries. Now he was a pastor. Now he's back to apostle. And I told him, no problem, because even on my Sunday show, Papolin, my sister, was the presenter. Gospel Sunday, that now every other Kenyan station is doing Gospel Sunday. Before that, there's nobody doing Gospel Sunday. But I'm not going to put anybody for rights, because those are things that are open. People should do these things. Why do producers make music? For you people to listen to. I bet. Why do you produce music if you don't want people to listen to? Now the consumer has become the criminal. Produce it and eat it. Why do you put it for us to listen to it if you don't want us to play it? You're forcing us to listen to your songs, and then if we listen to them, we are now again infringing your rights. Then why do you produce them in the first place? Produce them and put them in a box or in your sufuria and cook them. I don't understand this thing. The consumer, the promoter, has now become the enemy. Then why do you force them on us? Anyway, tell him, okay, it would be nice, because we need also really a preacher. I'm not a preacher. So you don't just want gospel, you want also a preacher, so no problem. I waited, I didn't see. But what I saw that I'm really appreciating and I said thank you to, he really did for me good jingles. So I went to Kenya just before I started my own station. Before I took a break from African Heritage to go to Dubai for 6 months. That was, rewind a bit. I was looking for Raila's contact. Raila is my relative. Raila's wife, Dr. Mama Ida Odinga, Minping, is my mother's cousin. They are the grandchildren of one person. But because they are famous, very famous and very important in the society, they are very hard to access. My own dad, who gave birth to me, was a very good friend to Jaramogi. So when I used to go to my father's home in the village, I used to see even Raila coming to our home. So now I'm big and I need somebody to boost me. I need somebody to give me that breakthrough. And he is there and I cannot access him. What do I do? You have this person who, if you just need to get next to and tell him, I'm the daughter of who and who. And that is all. Then you get your breakthrough. He can help you boost. But you can't access him. What do? So you struggle to get a contact. So I struggled and I went through a lot of brokers. Until I landed on another broker's hand. That's a story for another day. A story for another day. My uncle even wanted to arrest him. But he was a nice person anyway. So this broker, this political broker, political brokers are those who tell you, I have direct contact to these people. I can take it to the president. Now they use you because they know that you're desperate to have this contact. I've told you these things in the past. These are the videos that this guy has brought down. Ignorance, thinking that he just thinks that my YouTube is made of his songs. Yet my YouTube was only had only 4 of his songs. And if there are songs that were within my shows, then within my talks, like now I run to the toilet and I play a song like this. It's like now Emma Jalamo brings me down now because of this song I played here, going to get you this picture. Yet this is my charity. Even showing you this picture is charity because I'm promoting an artist, a poor boy from Madare North. So somebody is going to bring me down again because there's music, a few minutes music that is actually promoting him while I'm going to promote another person here. You see what's happening? Now he brought down all of the shows that I've done, my stories, all these things I've told you about skin ailments, about all these shows I've done to you before, these stories I've done, they're all gone because somebody who exploited me, who used me, and who asked me to play his songs in my shows now says I have infringed his rights. And then all of you who are very, very ignorant and assumes everything comes in and you want to teach me how to know how music rights works. Yet I live in the European Union where actually the rights, the chapter 3 and what are the most strongest. Why don't I always play in Beyonce songs? I love their music. I love Sam Smith. I love Ariana Grande. I love Rihanna. I love all of them. But why don't I play their songs? Because I know very well about issues of rights. But now these little people, I play their songs because they're my homies. And they ask me to play, they beg me for that. Because they know when I start a show like this, people are watching. Then you spoil every work that I've done. Sitting here to talk to you people, I'm using electricity. I'm using here energy. Time is running. I have to be somewhere by 12:45. It's already 11:50. I am using a camera. I'm charging it. that has made him be known, that is making him fly to those countries that he never even thought he would fly to. And then people coming still accusing me. Yet me, I'm in this kitchen from, you've seen me here from 2015. I'm in the same spot, earning no money from these things. And the people I'm promoting, you know them, that you're inviting them to London, to the US, to where they're getting them your money, you're putting for them gigs. Me, you're leaving me here, and I'm the person who is bringing them out. And then you're still coming to accuse me and telling me that I've bought my house, as if what YouTube, what money that I've never touched can buy my house, can pay for my eyeglasses that cost me 40,000 Kenyan shillings, can maintain my hair, can even buy this shirt, can even, are you serious? Can even make this kitchen that I'm still, can even pay for my 5G Wi-Fi here. You sometimes, do you just talk because you talk, or you want to just hate? You know, it's not bad to hate, it's normal. But hate em a berberi. Hate with your reasons, not because of other people's reasons. But anyway, it's just fine. I was on Gospel Sunday. I'm about to finish anyway. Or I just continue another day. I don't know. But let me just finish it. But one thing let me say before I continue. You might compare me to people like Akode. I treasure Akode to death. I treasure her. And that is why I promote her. But do you know that if people like us and you fans don't promote her, how would she get that publicity? How would she be who she is? You know, the word is, people like me give to those who don't even know that we are giving to them. You go and pay bill and put your money in pay bill, but the person who is being celebrated is not you, somebody else. Even me, I sent money to that pay bill, but you're not here. You just tell people abusing me here. Oh, because you want me to do my things open, yet it's not my strength. My strength is this. This is what I can also come and boast with. So Akode's strength is mobilization and philanthropy and business and parenting. That is her strength, and she has to use her strength as we support her to that. Terry, I went out of my way as the only Kenyan from Germany. I took a flight from Germany and went directly to Wembley to support Akode. And I put my bundles and my phone, and I bought a lot of credit because there was no Wi-Fi there to record for you that whole One Africa Festival and put for you on YouTube. All those ones this guy has brought down because he assumes only his songs are on my page. Yet Kina Akode, who are big rich stars, are not even. They actually thank me and treats me well and buys me food and does me this and that. Because when I come here dancing to Oyoyo, I am promoting her. No, it's our job. You only give what you can afford. And me, I can only afford that promotion. Vanessa MD is a big star. A big star in Tanzania. Can only be compared to Diamond. I recorded her in Wembley and put on YouTube. And it had over 200,000 clicks. The only thing they do is what? I get a message from YouTube that, the song is not mine, but the clicks are going to the owner of the song and the views, and if there's money in, but I don't monetize music. So there's not even no money they're getting unless they want to monetize it. They go pay money to these producers, especially like this one. This one steals tunes from Asosi, Nangai, Madilu system and stuff. And then he lays these people's lyrics on those songs. Then these people, when they create songs, they post them on YouTube. They have no rights over them. And now this same person also is getting a copyright infringement message from a company called Murzek, who protects those Lingala tunes and has a filter that notices every song on YouTube that has Lingala tune. Now this producer is getting a message from Murzek Music that he has no rights to his songs, and he's wondering, why is Terry not deleting his? Because if he gets these messages, he keeps getting them. If he gets messages that he has a copyright infringement filed on him, you know what he does? He deletes the music and changes the lyrics and then posts it again. But then he gets the slap again. Now he looks at my channel and says, is it not the same song Terry has posted? Why is it that she's not deleting it? Because I don't depend on money. I post music to support. So the owner of the music, when I've gotten that message from YouTube, they always write, heads up, you're not in trouble. But the clicks, and if at all it's monetized, the money is going to go to the owner. And then my music continues, so people click and dance, but you don't. So he's wondering, why is it that Terry is not deleting that song too like I've deleted? Then it feels like I am the Mursek music. I am the one who has monetized the video, so YouTube doesn't allow two same videos to be not monetized. They're not even the same, because he's all these audios with some picture of diaspora girls. And me, if I'm doing a video, you see movement or talks. Then he's thinking that I am the Mursek music who has filed copyright on his music, because he sees my videos are being clicked and he has to delete and repost again. How stupid can one be? Secondly, as a professional Terry Nyangia, if I was like in Ramogi FM and I want to play a song that I don't have, I play from YouTube. This is what all presenters now do. Even me, sometimes I play them from YouTube. But you can't be playing a song and then in the middle of the song, it breaks and it starts advertising, I don't know what. And you're playing on national radio like Kiss FM. You know, first of all, you'll get problems from your employer, because this advertisement that is now running inside this song is not paid for this thing. So there's no way a song I can monetize, because I use my head. I don't want any advertisement to interfere with the music when it's playing. I want a clean, smooth music. Somebody is accusing me that I've monetized his songs. If you monetize a song, they put ads in them. If you checked my videos that I was done like Nitakufa or wherever, those things I've danced to, Musa Jakadala, you'll play the video to the end, you'll never see an advert in the middle. If there's any adverts, even if it's these things that I don't know what, these keep ads that have come on them, they have been done by the owners of the person who claims the original song. And I'm very sure it is this Mursek. I don't know who this Mursek is, but I believe the Mursek is the protector of Kina Fally Ipupa, Feregola, Werason, Madilu System, and Lucky Dube, that these people are stealing their tunes from. Listen to every song of this man. Listen to every song, and then you go and compare to Madilu's songs and Werason's songs and all those Kina. Compare, and you'll hear it's the same tune. Here, listen to this song. Look at the person dancing. That guy who is accusing me of copyright infringement. And listen to the original. Madilu System RTC Viva. And then you tell me that I'm doing copyrights here. Listen. And it's all the songs. Let me play your last one. Let me play for you Asosi by Fally Ipupa. And then you compare to this other song. Okay, listen to this song. That is Asosi Nangai by Fally Ipupa. Take your time, listen to both, compare, and you see who is doing the biggest infringement. I have to leave. Please keep it locked, and I hope you've known me a bit. Subscribe. I already worked so hard, and I had a lot of things inside, and I was already by 20,000 subscribers. Now I'm starting from zero. It's so painful.
Proud chocolates.
Sorry, but I have to go. Bye.